Hey guys, so I know we got we didn't quite finish. I think this is I'm just making sure this is working. Yeah. Okay, so we didn't quite finish earlier. We were in the middle of question 2. We had already talked about how this game works, where you have a starting number of coins, and then based on the number of coins spent, um, it follows these rules for adding back coins, to specific players and whatnot. So if you need a review of that, feel free. I'm not planning on doing that right now. Um, this is like the base, like the backbone of the class, the generic class right here. We know that the class has attributes or instance variables of starting coins and max rounds, which will be set when the coin game is constructed. All right, it'll set the starting coins to whatever starting coins, to whatever S is. It'll set the max rounds to whatever R is. Now, other things that we need to keep in mind that we will now need to use as we start part B. We know that player one has to spend a certain number of coins. We don't know how it's decided, but we know that we're going to get that value from get player one move. We also know, and we actually know more about this one because we did this in part A. We know that to get to the number of coins that player 2 will spend, we have to use get player 2 move. All right. And then lastly, this is what we're coding right now. We're coding the game basically. All right. So let's come down here. Let's think about this a little bit. Um, I guess to finish some explanations. We know that at the end of the game, the winner will be decided based on the following rules. So if they have the same number of coins, it's a tie game. If player one has more coins, then player one wins. If player two has more coins, player two wins. All right, the last thing, and I'm having trouble finding it right here. Oh, right here. Okay. The game ends when max rounds have been either reached or when a player's coin count is less than 3 at the end of a round. Okay, so let's take some notes on this before we even get started here. Let's see. Okay, so first things first. What's happening here? We know that both players will start with the same number of coins. We know players will spend coins based on the class's methods. We also know what coins will be added based on rules. What else do we know? Oh, we know about how many rounds will play. Number of rounds will be max rounds unless a player has less than 3 coins, so that's important. And then really I think the last thing we're going to have to code is, let me see here, do I have it? Oh, just the who wins. All right. So we have to code to determine winner. Okay. Okay. So, for me here, I think this is fairly straightforward. We can do that in a second here. Spending coins, we might have to talk a little bit about that. Coins will definitely have to code based off of the information at the beginning of the problem. Here's where I want to start, though. I want to start with the fact right here. The number of rounds will be at most the value of max rounds, which is important. The thing though that I want you guys to think about is the fact that it might not last that long. And so for me, because this might break when a player has less than 3 coins, I don't have a specific number. So to me, once again, this is a while loop. All right. That's kind of my first thought on this. All right. With having said all of that, I think we're about ready to start. Let's see here. Yeah, let's go for it. All right. So first things first, when we play the game, and actually I should end my note. Okay. So when we play this game, both players have to start with the same number of coins. So I know, and it doesn't really matter what you call it. I'm going to call it P1 coins. I know that's going to have to be equal to whatever the starting amount of coins is. Now be very careful here. Do not use the letter S. Letter S was the parameter of the constructor. The attribute or the variable that I actually want to use is starting coins. So I want, I went all the way up to the beginning. My bad, guys. Int P1, so that's going to equal starting coins, as will P2 coins. Okay. I also know that at the very beginning of the game, my round is equal to 1. So there's kind of a start. The next thing I was thinking about, and actually let me see if I can do this. I really don't like the spacing on this. Okay. Okay. So I'll just do some double returns when I need to. The next thing I need to understand is that every single turn there's going to be like a move or how much someone spends, right? So I'm also going to create, I'm not going to set it equal to anything, but I'm going to say that P1 is going to have to spend something each turn, as well as P2. Okay, so now here is where I'm not exactly sure at the moment. I can tell you in a second. This is where the majority of your points in terms of running the program correctly will happen, right here in this while loop that we're going to write. Okay, the condition. We know that round definitely must be less than or equal to max rounds, which is important. But we might as well take care of the less than 3 at the same time. So I'm going to say not only does round have to be less than or equal to max rounds, but P1 coins must be greater than or equal to 3, as should P2 coins. And that's my entire while loop. That's 3 conditions. That's those 3 things all have to be met in order to keep running this program, or keep playing the game technically, okay? So now let's think about this. I want to start playing the game, right? Before I do anything, I need to figure out what P1 and P2 are going to spend each round, okay? So P1 spend is going to be equal to get player 1 move. All right, that, oh shoot. Sorry guys, I just freaked out a little bit. Okay, sorry. P1 spend, get player 1 move. I know that this method right here is what's going to return the number of coins that player 1 will spend, so I must use that method. All right, now there was no parameter to that one, so I just open and close my parentheses. However, when I do the same for P2 spend, get player 2 move, now there was a parameter. I had to incorporate, we can either go up even just back here. We know that player 2 move, you have to include the round number that you're on. And so that is going to incorporate my round variable from right here. Okay. Well, so now I know how much each player is going to spend this round. Let's spend those coins. So P1 coins should be equal to the P1 coins, excuse me, should be equal to P1 coins minus P1 spend, or whatever the move was, okay? And so that is why I did a minus equals. Did you have to do that? No, but that's just kind of the way I see it. P2 coins is going to be the same thing, but with the P2 spend, which is awesome. Now we've taken away the coins that they chose to spend that round. What we next have to do is think about those rules about the if they spend the same, if it's one off or it's two off. Okay, so I'm going to go back up. We're going to re-examine that. I know that if they spend the same number, player 2 gains a coin. If it's one off, then player 2 is still awarded 1 coin. And if it's off by 2, then player 1 is awarded 2 coins. So we need to code that now. That sounds like an if tree to me. So if P2 spend is exactly the same as P1 spend, well then we want to add 1 to P2 coins. We also knew that if the difference between them was 1, okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually use some absolute value here, so I only have to do one operation. I'm going to do math.abs of P2 spend minus P1 spend. And that should be equal to 1, right? Whether it's positive 1 or negative 1, that means it's 1 off, which means that you will get 1 when you do the absolute value. So if that's the case, then I want to again add 1 to P2 coins, and I just realized that. Okay. I'm not going to mess around with any more absolute value. I'm just going to say any other situation, what do I do? Anything else? Anything else, I'm going to add 2 to player 1's coins. So I'm going to do plus equals 2. All right. And I hope that kind of makes sense. I think at this point, I might just do... Sorry, guys. Insert page break. Okay, let's do that. All right, so now why is it doing? Sorry, guys. Okay. It's as good as it's going to be for right now. Okay. So now we've taken care of, I think, everything, right? We've started their coins. We started the round number. We figured out on this current round what they're each going to spend. We're taking away that amount from their initial amount of coins. And then we tested to see what would get added back. All right. So now I believe, if I'm thinking about this right, we're ready to increment the round. This is really giving me trouble, huh? Increment the round and end our while loop. All right. So every single time you play around, you should get their amounts of spends, get the amount they spend. Oh my gosh. Subtract that or deduce it, reduce it from subtract it from their current amount of coins, and then add anything back. The last thing we have to do is determine a winner, right? So that will be another if statement. If after everything's said and done, if P1 coins is the exact same as P2 coins, well then what ended up happening? They tied. Okay? If P1 coins is greater than P2 coins, well then player 1 wins. Lastly, oh shoot, what am I messed up. Else, guys, else if, okay, if P1 equals P2, tie game. Otherwise, if P1 is greater than P2, then player 1 wins. And then last thing, just else. And that should be the end of our program, okay? So big things that I would say that you should be taking away from this one when we came up with our notes, understanding how a game works, right? Knowing that both players are going to start with the same number of coins. Players are going to spend coins. You have to use the methods to do that to figure out how much they're going to spend. So that's what we did down here, right in this area. Of course, coins are then reduced or taken away from their current amount. But then those rules, okay, you need to incorporate the rules. That was a big part of this, understanding how you were going to change their coin totals based on the rules. Lastly, and then probably worth a couple of points here, this part, understanding that you should be using a while loop here instead of a for loop. Why again? Because we don't know how many rounds are going to play. We have an idea, but we don't know for sure because it could change if a player ever gets less than 3 coins. Okay, so a while loop is the way to go here. So there it is. That is part B of question 2 from our Unit 4 free response progress check. All right, have a good one.